Josh, so good to see you today. I hear you're speaking, is that right?
Yes, toward the end I'll be speaking.
Okay, I remember it was about a year and a half ago, March of 2017, that I first met you in Austin at that Americans for Shared Parenting rally in Austin. Mm-hmm. But what really impressed me about you, and I don't know if I've said this to you or not, and many people here, is their integrity. And I mean, you've talked to me, we've talked about what your plans were at one time. You were looking at being a missionary, youth minister. You never expected these events to happen in your life, did you?
I didn't. I never thought out of all people that this would happen to me. It was never in my plans. I never wanted a divorce. I always thought once you were married for life. Mm-hmm. And if you had issues, if you had problems, you worked out your problems. You sat down, you talked things through. I mean, it was a commitment for life. Yeah.
So my understanding is that you didn't really want a divorce, but it was more forced upon you.
I didn't want a divorce at all. I tried everything to do to try to prevent my divorce from happening. Yeah. I went to counseling. I tried to get my wife at the time to go to counseling. Yeah. I left no stone unturned in trying to save my marriage. I wrote love letters to my now ex. I tried everything to do to foster some type of romantic.
Basically implementing the love dare, more or less, is what.
Anything, yes. Yeah. You know what? At that time, there was nothing I would not have done to try to save my marriage. There really wasn't. Yeah. If you would have told me you need to do this to save your marriage, I would have done it. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to get back to the equal shared parenting in just a moment, but being as you're talking about this, what do you think about the divorce laws in Texas? As you know, one of the big things that I've been trying to work toward, and that I think we're making headway toward, is the repeal of unilateral, no fault, they call it no fault divorce, but really it becomes forced divorce. Mm-hmm. You are a prime example. Person, like I said, I admired you because talking with you and hearing your story, I just said, this is a man of complete integrity. And yet you went through this reluctantly. There's nothing you could do to stop it. The state of Texas actually sides against you because then they side with the person who wants a divorce. Sure. What are your thoughts about repealing unilateral divorce in the state of Texas? I honestly don't think there should be no-fault divorce. I think
it should be gone.
Yeah, I don't look. I'm a Christian. I don't approve of any form of divorce. I mean, obviously, if a spouse is doing drugs, or there is violence that has been occurring, or there's something that is danger to another person, right? That's a different situation. Right. I don't believe that anybody should be able to walk into a court of law and just say, let's terminate this marriage
against the other person's will.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what happened with you? How long have you been divorced then?
I'm kind of losing track. It's been about four years. I think it may be going on 5 years now.
And you have children that are what ages at this point?
Yes, I have my youngest son's name's Elijah, and he's 5, and I have my oldest son, and his name is Josiah, and he's 8. Okay, so it's been 4 years, so they were only, 4 and 1 at the time? Yeah, my children were very young at that time, and it was very traumatic. My youngest, I don't think, knew too much what was going on, but very difficult for my oldest son. During some of the exchanges, before temporary orders were in place, when I brought my oldest son back, Elijah, he literally was screaming, and they had to pull him off of my arms. And it was very difficult for me to see that. Still difficult to this day talking about it, Mm-hmm. And very traumatic for my oldest son as well. Mm-hmm. He still has, even to this day, my children, especially Josiah, worries about being able to see me. And they're very concerned about it. They're always asking about, when are they going to come see me next?
So have they been kept from you a lot then?
Actually, there was the very first time I went to pick up after the final divorce decree. Their mother did not let me have my youngest child, Elijah. Mm-hmm. And then the next time she let me see him, I have not had any issues after that. I'd like to think that my situation isn't nearly as bad as other parents. I have an expanded custody order.
So what does that mean? Tell us what that means, an expanded custody order.
I get first, third, and fifths, but instead of bringing my children back Thursday at 8 o'clock, I keep them from Thursday. I actually pick them up Thursday after school, mm-hmm. and keep them all the way until Monday morning when school starts again. Okay. And then, of course, in the summer, instead of 30 days, I have what is it, 42 days.
Okay.
So I have a considerable, I mean, it's more time.
Right.
It's still not nearly close to half time. It's depending on how you pick your days and stuff, it could be anywhere to 30, and I think you might be able to get to close to 40%.
Yeah, the way that this Texas Family Law Foundation counts their days is really ingenious. I mean, 2 hours on a Thursday counts as a day. Seriously?
Yeah, that's where we're finding that so many legislators have been told things that are not true, that are not factual, and that is one of them. One of the things that we heard just today in the legislator's office is that don't parents already have 50-50 parenting in Texas? And that's
it's a shame, but you're right.
It's a lie.
I
don't understand how people live with themselves telling such a lie. I can tell you that Ben Beveridge has done a study down in Brazoria County. Painstakingly went through all the divorce cases and found out that in 95% of those cases, the standard custody agreement, that's the parenting time, was given. That means 4 nights a month with a non-custodial parent. It's not happening. A lot of legislators don't know about that. And when you have lawyers going in
and lying
and lying about stuff like that and saying, you know, really the only difference is 2 or 3 days, which is what one of the people from the Texas Family Law Foundation said. Look, we're arguing about 2 or 3 days. Really, it's really fraud, is what it is. It's not even. Why would somebody make up lies like that? That's affecting millions of children across Texas. I mean, we've got close to almost 1 million children now in Texas who have not seen dad in over a year.
Well, I was at a meeting on Saturday with the Texas Values down here, and the Attorney General spoke. And one of the things he said is that he has between 1.5 million and 1.6 million child support enforcement cases that he's responsible for. So I started to think, wait a minute. 1.5 million, we'll take the 1.5 million, times 2, because there's a mother and a father, times at least one child, maybe we'll say 1.3 or whatever like that. That's 5 million people in the state of Texas that are affected by this. We're not even counting grandparents. We're not counting aunts and uncles. We're not counting, cousins and stuff like that are affected by this plague of divorce.
And here's one of the things that people don't talk about. It's about how you spin this.
Right.
And the way that people are spinning the Texas Family Code and they're spinning the child support orders are saying that it's good for children. If you read what the Attorney General's office put out, again, like you said, 1.5 million cases. We had record setting, it was like $4.3 billion.
I saw that.
Here's what they don't tell you, and they said this is potentially benefiting 1.5 million children.
That's destroying them.
Well, this is what people don't understand. 1.5 million. In Texas, 1 out of 10 children here in the U.S., there's 74 million children in the U.S., 1 in 10 children live here. Out of those 1 in 10 children that live in Texas, 25% of those children, 1 out of 4, is going to be under the Title 4D program.
Wow.
And it's not benefiting all 1.5 million.
Right.
In fact, the percentage of parents that are getting child support right now through Title 4D, would you believe it's only, that are on the welfare system right now, would you believe it's only 3%? Well, that sounds good. So only 3% of these cases. Well, he said 1.5 million. So we said 3. Right. Well, there's around, I believe it's, I have to look at my figures, like 28% of those people that are receiving child support have at some point in their life been on government assistance.
Okay.
But this is supposed to, he's saying 1.5 million children are benefiting. Here's the problem with that. All the states are in arrears, are behind. People are behind because they can't afford to pay the child support.
Right.
So
it's another way to punish poor people as well.
So when you have 60 to 80% of child support orders being behind, that tells you that those children are not receiving that support, which again goes on to say the bulk, and I would say over 90% at least of children that are on child support are not in any danger of ever being in a situation where they're going to be without food.
Right, right. I remember you talking about what your parents did for you. As far as keeping you out of jail. Do you want to expound on that? I mean, you would tell them, well, I'll let you.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the month, there was nothing to pay rent. There was nothing to put food on the table.
For you?
There wasn't for me.
Yeah.
This was something that somebody brought up today as we were talking. A lot of times when a divorce occurs, a dad or a mom, if you're the non-custodial or even the custodial parent, you're going to change jobs. Because all of a sudden you're by yourself. So you adjust your schedule so that you can be with that child during your parenting time as much as you can.
Right.
So if you're let's just say you're a non-custodial parent and you have a work schedule, like for myself, I have my children after school on Thursday all the way through till Monday morning. Now, my youngest son was 3 at the time, so he didn't have any school on Friday. So I chose not to work on Friday so that I could spend that time with my son.
Right.
That affects you financially.
Right.
And fortunately, the job that I had was working 10-hour shifts Monday through Thursday, so I had that Friday off.
Yeah.
But that situation changed.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting a different job. Well, they're not going to knock down your child support orders because you took a different job that would benefit your children.
Yeah.
You're still required to pay whatever that job was. Even though this is something that you decide this is good for my kids, I don't want to spend parenting time with them.
Yeah.
They don't care about that.
And the one,
so my parents were sending Social Security checks to me.
Yeah.
I had friends send me money.
Yeah.
People got behind me and supported me.
Yeah.
And it was a temporary sacrifice. Now my youngest son is actually in school on Fridays now, so but the schedule that I have right now to drop off my children in the morning,
right,
and to pick them up again, and drive back and forth with the trips, I couldn't do that with the job that I had.
Yeah.
So I chose to do a job where I have that time with my children.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of things when you talk about the whole issue of divorce that really, really bother me. You are now considered a non-custodial parent, or and I guess your ex-wife would be the primary conservator. Is that what they call her? What is this conservator stuff?
Well, it's a title that the state of Texas gives to you.
Because you've gotten divorced.
Yes.
Now, isn't that a little bit discriminatory? Because I thought we weren't supposed to discriminate on marital status.
Yes, it is discriminatory. Look, you can't have two classes of people.
Right.
Just like you can't discriminate against people and say we're going to give white people access to theaters, water drinking fountains. They can sit in the front of the bus. You can't do that. That was called discriminatory. Well, here you'll go into a family court, and they will give one person the title of the primary or the custodial parent, and the other parent will become the non-custodial parent. And there is discrimination to no ends when you have two different people like that. And it's not just, they want to say, well, you're both conservatives, everybody should view you. But I can tell you, in public life, when you are the non-custodial parent, if you go to school, if you go to the hospital, if you go to events, if you talk to friends and family, if you are the non-custodial parent, you are and will be treated differently. Right. If you go to school to ask for school records, they're going to be a reluctance to give them to you. You're not going to have access to the school. Hospital records, well, we can't give them out to you right now. We couldn't tell you anything about them. You're viewed differently with your friends. They wonder, what did you do wrong that you didn't get equal time with your children or become the custodial parent? So if the public is viewing it as discriminatory, I think that's the proof in the pudding. Yeah.
The other thing that, I will say this, as the non-custodial parent, you get the privilege of paying child support that maybe has no direct correlation to the needs. And by the way, are there any receipts kept that say, you know what, you had to pay, I don't know how much this month, Josh, but here are the receipts that show that it went to the children and not to fund your ex-wife's lifestyle and maybe take a vacation or go to the, and I'm not trying to pick on your ex-wife, I'm just saying that, you know.
And let me preface by saying, a lot of people want to look at us saying, well, they're trying to get out of their child support.
Right.
Look, there is not a dad, there is not a mom in this movement right now that does not want to parent their children, does not want to support their children. Right. The problem is we're not being allowed to. Right. And they want to tell us, we only want your support in the form of money. Yeah. We want to support our children like real parents with time. If all the other parents that haven't gone through this can do it, if married parents can do it, why are non-custodial parents, and that's number's 9 out of 10 here in Texas of dads that become a non-custodial parent.
Right, and the Attorney General says that on his website.
Why are we being discriminated against it?
Yeah. When I've talked about the shared parenting movement, I always try to talk in terms of not just 50-50, but 100-100, because the best interest of the child is, in almost every instance, to be raised in an intact family with both the mother and the father together, and that's what you wanted.
I agree. I think that's best that's the number one best thing is for kids to have a mom and a dad in the same house. There's no question in my mind. Yeah. I mean, you talk to people who have gone through this before, and even now, my kids, they still want me to get back with their mom, and they talk to their mom, and they tell me this stuff. They're like, we told mom you need to live with her. I don't tell them any of this stuff. Kids know this innately, that they both need a mom and a dad. Yeah, and I don't remember you telling me this before. Maybe you have, but Layla Miller, a Catholic author, she wrote this book called Primal Loss. The now
adult children of divorce speak out. Do you know how common this is among children of divorce, that they want to see their mother and father get back together?
Oh, I mean, you hear it from all sorts of people,
right?
All sorts of parents and children that have gone through this. They all say the same thing. You know, they
right.
wish that their parents would have stayed together.
Right.
But of course, there's always exceptions to the rule.
Right.
You know, where that can't take place. You know, because of violence, because of drug abuse,
right.
Imprisonment. But children do want that. You know, that's why I'm a proponent of equal parenting.
Right.
It's not the best. Moms and dads should stay together. That's what children want. That's the
right.
best possible situation. I think we need to protect that.
Yeah.
That's a reason why I'm for equal parenting.
Yeah.
I realize it's the next best situation.
Right.
But here's the positive behind it. Children that have equal parenting are less likely to get a divorce.
Right.
And it will reverse the trend.
Yeah.
That's why divorce attorneys want to see this keep happening. Because it's repeating clientele.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Your dad got divorced, now you're coming in for our service. It's a constant slew of clients.
Right.
This is a way to end that. This is a way to end divorce. It really is. It at least severely stop the hemorrhaging that we're experiencing right now.
I think you remember when I testified down in Austin a year and a half ago, that was my perspective, to say that divorce is the catastrophe. By having the 50-50 rebuttable presumption, it may minimize some divorces, or at least slow them down, or maybe even save some marriages. And the interesting thing about the no-fault divorce is the real purpose of the no-fault divorce was to try to save families, not to make it divorce on demand, because this was actually took place out of California, where they used to have a counseling track. And the interesting thing was, these people, they went in a non-confrontational manner, they went through counseling, they had like a 75% reconciliation rate. Now, not all of them stayed together after that, but a lot of them did. Sure. And you hear these statistics. These come from family therapists. They come from judges. They say at least 40%. Some say over 50% of these people with the no-fault unilateral divorce, they don't even want it.
Yeah, I think there should be things that we can do to try to save marriages.
Right.
You know, people make mistakes. There's no question about it. And you know what? I can't say that we can save every single marriage.
Absolutely.
But why is
it so easy to get divorced?
Why is it so easy to divorce?
And why does the state always take the side of the petitioner against the person who wants to save the marriage?
That's true. You know, here's the thing. The family is the bedrock to civilization. We know that. That's a fact. Everybody knows that. Why aren't we trying to promote that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to say that the government needs to, you know, start getting into religious, to getting into, you know, different things like that. But why are we encouraging, almost pretty much encouraging, why aren't we giving incentives for parents to get divorced? And, you know, a lot of women that go through divorce, and I can say that's here in Texas, know that they're going to come out with having children. They're going to come out with, you know, possibly some alimony and possibly, you know, significant amount of child support. I'm not saying that it necessarily encourages it, but it sure makes it a whole lot easier when you know that
it does encourage it. And I'm not. You're right. I mean, I agree with what you're saying there. At the same time, hi, Melissa. How are you? It's so good to see you.
I'll give you a hug. I feel like I know you anyway.
Yes. Anyway, it's so glad that you're here.
Oh yes, good to see you.
So glad that you're here. You're amazing.
I'll let you finish off on one.
Okay. Great, thanks. But, you know, the other thing, Josh, I mean, I know we've talked at different times. Didn't it almost seem as if you were being punished to want to try to keep your marriage together? Because basically what happens in the state of Texas, the person who files for divorce always wins.
Yeah.
And then if you, for whatever reason, you're talking about changing jobs and stuff like that, there are other people, I've talked with so many people that have said, I'm making my child support, but if I miss one day of work, the Attorney General will come after me. And, you know, they could throw you in jail. I think that...
Well, and let me back up for a second and say that when a man and a woman go through a divorce, it's different for a man and a woman. The first thing the woman looks for is financial stability. What a man's looking for, he's broken. There's a relationship, and that matters to him more. This is just from my experience. It might not be true with everybody.
Right.
This is what I've known. I've heard other people say the same thing.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of women say the same thing.
A woman is looking for financial stability.
Yeah.
So as men, we're still reeling from in those particular cases where there's been something like a cheating or an affair, or something that's taken place.
Right.
The man is left reeling. And so you're not thinking, man, I need to go in and fight for my kids. I need to make sure that I have money left to live on. And before you know it, there's nothing left. And you've got standard visitation with your kids.
Yeah, and the other thing that bothers me is that when you go to see a divorce attorney, they want to see your assets. And
that's the first thing to ask for.
Right.
You're going to need to see your financial records.
Right.
Get your tax things and
they're talking about attorneys lying to you. I mean, the reality is, they're saying, well, we want to look out to make sure you get your fair share. But their fair share comes 35% to me, or 30% to me, and the other 70% you two can fight over.
There's no question in my mind that these divorce attorneys are tailoring their billing based upon how much their client has.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a rich client, unless they agree to something, their bill is really high.
Yeah.
If you have a poorer client, their bill is going to be low. That's just the way it is. They look and they tailor their litigation based upon how much money you have.
And then also when you come down to modification orders and everything, and I don't know how many women and men, both that I've talked to, that have said, we paid the attorney so much money, and then we ran out, and he said, well, you're on your own. Never took him to court. Just build, bled him dry, and then...
Well, here's where the rubber meets the road. You should never have to go and spend hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to have a divorce here in Texas. No, there shouldn't be any money behind it to have custody with your children.
Right.
Why should I have to spend tens of thousands of dollars that I might be using for my kids' college education down the road so that I can pay for an attorney to protect my rights? Why aren't my rights protected? Why must I have to pay money to have protection for my rights? There is no due process in these family courts.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, everything's on preponderance.
Yeah.
Preponderance of the evidence.
Yeah. Well,
there's no due process. There's no clear and convincing evidence.
Let us backtrack there. There's no evidence necessary, period, because you can file for divorce for any reason, for no reason, for made-up reason, because perjury never gets tried in family court.
It doesn't.
So, anyway, it looks like we have to get inside pretty quickly, but thank you so much. Appreciate you. Josh, thanks so much.
Okay.